So today, we're going to dig into a story that honestly feels like it's straight out of some kind of bureaucratic thriller. It's a real-life case about a tax bill that should have never existed, a system that just wasn't listening, and what it finally took to crack the whole thing wide open.
I mean, seriously, have you? If you've been through it, you know exactly the feeling I'm talking about. And if you haven't, well, maybe think of this as a little bit of a cautionary tale. And that is putting it very, very mildly. Look, the IRS is a necessary part of how our government works. We get that. But sometimes it just feels like this giant faceless machine where the gears aren't quite connecting, or maybe they're not even spinning at all. And this story? It's a perfect example of that. All right, so our story begins with something super simple, a piece of mail, a notice from the IRS that seemed straightforward enough on the surface, but it quickly, and I mean quickly, spiraled into a months-long headache. So here's the setup. A client gets a notice in the mail. The IRS claims they owe payroll taxes for the third quarter of 2021. Simple enough, right? Except there was one massive problem. There was no payroll. It was a COVID year, and the business owner was literally the only person working there. You can't have payroll taxes if you don't have a payroll. It's basic logic, but it turned out to be an almost impossible thing to explain.
What tax form? Is it 941?
941. 941. Yeah, 941. Q3 2021. No. You guys don't have one on file. I responded in writing to this about 6 months ago, and we're still getting notices about you guys questioning where it is.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, sounds good.
So the client's representative does exactly what you're supposed to do. They respond in writing, they explain the situation clearly, and then they waited. And this is where our timeline of, well, silence really begins. Now, in a normal world, you'd expect to get some kind of confirmation back, right? Something that says, hey, we got your letter. Usually that happens within about 30, maybe 90 days. That's just standard procedure. But in this case, it went way, way beyond that 90-day window. The silence was just deafening. And as you're about to see, the problem wasn't just sitting there unsolved. It was actually getting repeated.
Okay, so let's walk through this because it's pretty wild. The first notice arrives in December 2024. A clear, written response gets sent out right after the new year, January 2025. Then, crickets, radio silence, until July. And what shows up in the mail? A second notice that is identical to the first one. That was the smoking gun. It proved their response had just vanished into some bureaucratic black hole. That's when they knew, okay, it's time to pick up the phone.
Not knowing anything. You said you mailed it in 6 months ago?
Yeah, I mailed in a response on January 7th, 2025.
And unfortunately, it's not showing anything. We should have that by now. I would refile it. Now, did you send it to the regular address or did you do, say certified?
We responded to we responded to the address that is on the notice.
Okay. Do you want me to give you another address for it? Because unfortunately, we don't have it, so you'd want to resend it in.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I figured. Is there a way you guys can put a hold on any future notices coming in by any chance, or at all?
Can't put any type of hold, unfortunately,
Why not?
because it's not going to let me put any type of hold on the account. There might be something where collections, sometimes when it's in that status, sometimes collections will take return sometimes, but like through the individual side, we can't put any type of hold or do anything with it.
Okay. I have to document this so that way we can respond here. If you can give me a few minutes before we go to the next call. Are you able to handle individual cases?
No, unfortunately, no. I have to transfer you.
Let me see if okay, let me just make a document here, but I have other cases that are business entities that I'm sure we can discuss. Just give me 1 second, please.
Did you get the address where to send that to?
Do I need an address to send it to you?
But for that last one, you have to resend it in. You need an address where to send that form to, that 941.
Yeah, we replied to the notice. The address is on the notice, right? There is no 941. You guys don't need a 941. There was no activity for the quarter. So I'm trying to get that cleared up with you guys.
Really good. Because that's the thing. There's there's a difference between you sending in the 941 compared to they don't have one. Let me place you on hold, and I'll bring. Okay. I'm going to place you on hold, please. Okay.
Sounds good.
So, this is the part of the story where we get to be detectives. We finally get to pull back the curtain and figure out what on earth was actually happening inside the IRS that caused this crazy, frustrating loop. I mean, that's the central mystery, isn't it? A perfectly logical explanation was provided, in writing, so why did the system just keep on chugging along as if nothing had ever happened? Well, the answer reveals this massive, massive disconnect. And here it is. It was a tale of two departments that weren't talking to each other. On one hand, you had the automated system, just humming along, spitting out these notices like clockwork, no questions asked. But at the exact same time, the mailroom, the physical place where human beings actually open the mail, was completely shut down because of COVID. There was literally nobody there to read the reply. The result was this completely absurd situation. It was a one-way street. The IRS could talk, but it was physically incapable of listening. The automated system was generating the problem over and over again, but the human part of the system that was needed to receive the solution was totally offline.
I'm right here, sir. One more time.
Still working on the account. I'm putting up a code in there so then it doesn't look for that tax return.
Yeah,
You don't have to do anything. Okay.
that'd be great.
Okay, so I put the code in where it doesn't look for the return, and then I just sent a 96 letter just stating that no more information is needed. So they're all set.
Awesome. That solves the problem.
So after months and months of dealing with this automated ghost, the solution came down to one thing and one thing only: breaking through the system and reaching an actual human being who could apply some common sense and actually take action. And you know, this is such a key insight for anyone who has to deal with a big bureaucracy. The person on the other end of that phone line, that IRS representative, they often have a lot more power and authority to fix things than they might let on. And this really gets to the heart of it. It's the human element, right? It's not just about the rules and procedures on a screen. It often comes down to the individual you're talking to, how much work your problem is going to be for them, and frankly, how motivated they are to actually solve it. And in this case, it was like a light switch flipped. The second the agent on the phone understood the simple, logical fact, no payroll means no payroll tax, they were finally able to start untangling the mess. A 5-minute conversation accomplished what a written letter couldn't do in 7 months. Just think about that. So what can we all learn from this whole phantom tax bill saga? Let's take a minute and break down the key lessons here. Here are the big ones. First, always remember you're probably dealing with an automated system, at least at first. Second, real-world events, like a pandemic, can create these huge system-wide failures you just can't see. And that means, third, your written responses could literally get lost in the system. Which brings us to number 4, sometimes a single phone call is way more effective than a dozen letters. And finally, and maybe this is the most important one, you just have to have patience and be persistent. And that's really what I want to leave you with. This case wasn't just about a tax bill. It points to a much, much bigger question for our increasingly automated world. When a system makes a mistake, but there's no single person you can blame, who's ultimately accountable for fixing it? It's definitely something to think about.